Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, July the 7th. As we like to do every once a week, we'll be talking with our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. Bill, it is very warm here, very hot here, really, in North Texas. I hope your weather is better than ours.
Well, we have a little respite from the heat, which was enormous and really very dangerous. And apparently, we will have some pretty good days ahead for the next week, with the possibility of another heat wave, which we hope will not hit us.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're pretty good today. The What struck me about the enormous heat is, despite it, how many people were out having a good time in America in the last week,
Right.
over the July 4th holiday and over the sudden interest in soccer, which had never aroused such interest before. And
Right.
the fact that so many different cities were involved, I loved it. I loved it. It really was a holiday week. I don't know what's going to happen now with the Americans out of the soccer bowl or whatever they call it, uh, and the end of the July 4th holiday. But I think maybe it's a good lesson for politicians that people they like positive things. They like to cheer. They like to
Right.
be the ones who are cheering, and not constantly criticizing. And I think we had a kind of purity for a week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's been a great cup, or tournament or World Cup, whatever, however they want to call it. And I'm glad, like you say, that a lot of cities were represented. We've had a couple of games here in the Dallas area. They turned out rather well, and I just think people had a good time. I agree with you. I don't know how much the interest is or how much it'll drop now that the U.S. is out. Maybe the
Mm.
more purist fans will continue to follow it, maybe some of the casual fans. But yeah, I think had the US, I think it would have been almost too good to be true, maybe, had the US maybe gone deeper. Had they gone a
Yes.
couple of rounds, I mean, then I think soccer would have really caught on. But I think we once again, and now, I've been listening to the experts because I'm not an expert on soccer, but I've been listening to the experts, and I think everybody's saying, look, we're just not there.
Yeah.
We're not a major league team when it comes to soccer. And despite a good try by the guys, I'm sure they did their best. We're just not at that level. And it's sort of like having somebody was saying it's like having a top major league team playing maybe a double A team. That it's just not, the pitching is not the same, and
Mm.
the quad. So I mean, I think the team that it's best. I just hope that people get as excited to watch Argentina play Morocco as they did the United States versus Belgium. I don't know if they will,
Highly
but
unlikely. Highly
yeah,
unlikely.
I think you'll see a drop off here a bit.
Well,
That's my guess.
soccer has always been a baffling sport to most Americans. Around the world, it's a very big sport and a very big spectator sport. Here, soccer never managed to get that golden moment where they
Right.
became a big spectator sport. I think they did in the last week, because we had all those spectators out there cheering because it was the American team. And I don't know what's going to happen now. For the most part, soccer in the United States has been basically a school sport. Kids in school played soccer, high schools played soccer, but as a spectator sport, it never seemed to break through. This was the closest they came, and unfortunately, they didn't go all the way.
That's right, or even come close to. I mean, even make it to the semifinals. I mean,
Yes,
which I think if they had made it to the semifinals, most people would have said that's great. But
yes,
they went out, as one of the 16, and I guess making it to the 16 is a big two. But I think a lot of people expected more. I did.
yes. They didn't. The reality is they didn't play well.
No, not last
I
night. No.
think from the first minute, you realized something was wrong. They seemed maybe depressed is the right word, but we turned it on and we expected them to come out roaring, and they came out sleeping, and they just
One of
they
the you're right, but one of the go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry. I didn't. No, I was going to say that I've had soccer friends of mine who know the game quite well say that the you can tell it's a great game when it's no score for a while.
Yes,
And last night when I heard the United States was down 2-1 early, I said this is not going to be good because it really is not a high scoring game. The quality soccer is a 1-0 game, 2-1 game.
yes,
Sometimes they go into these overtime, where they finish 0-0 and they go into these penalty kicks. So it's not the kind of sport. I mean, it's not like a baseball game where you win 6-2 or 6-3 or
right.
5-4. It's normally more of a 1-0. And so when I heard the U.S. team was down 2-1, 3-1, I said, "Oh, this is not going to be a good night for us because you just don't get goals that quickly.
That's right.
You don't have a 3-run homer to bring you back when you're
That's
down by
right.
3 runs. You don't have a
That's what
3-run homer."
that's one of the problems with soccer. There are very few moments like that, and you can watch a whole game, and it's a 1-0 game. I don't know if it will reach the point it has around the world where it becomes not so much a scoring game, but more watching individual players and
Right.
how they play the game. But you're quite right. I mean, you can get a good baseball game, that's 9-2, and at least you've
Right.
got some scoring there. And
Right. And you can be down. I mean, let's say you're losing um, 4-2, let's say in the eighth inning. In soccer, that's really tough to come back that late because you just run
yes,
out of time. But in baseball, you can hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the eighth, and all of a sudden you went in losing 4-2. Now you're winning 5-4.
that's
You don't
right.
have
Yeah,
that chance of getting multi runs with one play, and I personally miss that. But I tell you, there's two things that if the FIFA would ever send me a questionnaire about how I feel about the tournament, I would say the marketing was great, the coverage was great, but two things I would recommend as a fan. Number one, I've got to figure out what is a foul and what isn't,
right.
because I'm telling you, I'm confused.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
It's a very the scoring is very confusing to Americans. It really is.
yeah,
And another thing that's confusing to Americans is all these offices and leagues
right.
and executives who come in and run things and get their little fiefdoms. It is very much a European style contest, and that just doesn't make it here. It really doesn't.
No, the game is not very democratic. Also,
That's great.
and one thing I don't like about the game is that you never know how much time there's left. Now, you're watching the game like this game with Argentina and Egypt today was actually a great comeback by Argentina. Although the Egyptians are furious, they say that they were cheated out of a goal, and I don't know. Maybe they were. I don't really know one way or the other. But normally, like if you're watching an NFL football game and you're down to the last minute and a half, you're actually watching the clock that matters.
Oh, sure, yeah,
The clock on the TV screen is the same clock the referee has. So he's not going to say at the end of the minute 30 that, oh, they've got another 20 seconds. He can't because there's one clock. Whereas like the Mexico England game the other night, at the end of the game, they go, we're giving them 7 more minutes, what they call stoppage time, I guess. And then it's like 11 minutes and they're still playing. You go,
yes.
wait a minute, I thought this was 7. So I guess there's other arbitrary stoppage, but at least for me, that confuses the heck out of me. There ought to be
Oh,
one
sure.
official clock, and we have the technology to do it. I mean, the referee can have a clock connected to the screen or to the official clock there, and he can tell us what time there is. He doesn't need to keep us guessing, Bill. So
That's
that's
right.
one complaint I have. That's not about the game. That's just about the way the game is managed. So
Well, that got us angry during the week because you'll remember that game, and I don't recall, 4 or 5 days ago when the Americans were playing another important game, and it started an hour before it was supposed to start, according to the television schedules. So when we came in, the game was half over, and we thought, we're going to have to think differently about how we watch soccer on television. Come in maybe an hour earlier and hope it isn't over.
Right.
It's that they are not ready for they're not ready for the big time in the United States.
No, it's a different fan. It's a different fan. It's
Yes.
I'm not taking anything away from the game. It's again tremendous abilities that these players have, and I congratulate them. And I'm still fascinated how they, it's funny. Let me give you a little story. When one of my sons was playing soccer, our youngest son was playing soccer. The soccer coach, I mean, this is back when he was like 8 or 9. The soccer coach had been a great college soccer player. So one day his father came to the game, and it turns out that his father had been a professional player
Mm,
in England. So I sat next to him watching 8-year-olds play soccer. I was sitting next to somebody who had played. He played for Liverpool
yes.
in the professional league in Britain. So I was sitting there talking to him, and he was telling me a lot about the rules and how they, not so much the rules but the strategy of the game. And then I turned around and I said, "Okay, I'm going to take you to a baseball game." So I
Right.
did. I took
Yes.
him to his first professional game. He had
Ah.
never been to a professional game. He had never been to a baseball game before. So I took him to a professional baseball game, and I said to him, what impresses you the most? And he says, "I just cannot believe the way they catch the ball and they throw it, and the fly balls and the catcher." And I mean, it seems like he was really impressed
Yes.
with the talent of a baseball player,
Yeah.
much the same way that I'm impressed with the talent of a soccer player.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
remarkable how that how that works. So he was really impressed with how a third baseman picks up a ground ball and throws it to first. He thought that was wow, that takes a lot of skill. Well, it does, of course.
Sure. Yeah.
And and then I was impressed by how they kicked the ball. So I guess that was a good experience for both of us. But we wish soccer well, and we say happy birthday to Ringo Starr of the Beatles, who is 86 years old. That means he was born in 1940 in Liverpool. Man, that's almost like another country back then.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
And he became a Beatle, which at one time and not very long ago, being a genuine Beatle was very important in the world of
that's
music.
it. Well, for him, it was. And he sort of, I mean, you talk about being lucky, being in the right place at the right time. He was playing with another band in Liverpool, and George Martin, the producer of the Beatles, was getting ready to record them with a contract with a record company. They were going from that stage where they were singing at the bars to actually going into a studio. And George Martin said, "Look, guys, I know you love Pete, who was the drummer, but he just can't cut it. I
Mm.
cannot use him in a recording session. I'll use a studio musician if you want to keep him in the band, but I just cannot put him in on the recording." And they said, "Well, okay." So they signed Ringo, and my gosh, Bill, Ringo goes from being just another drummer. I mean, he was a good drummer, but he goes from being a totally unknown drummer in Liverpool, playing in bars and so on, to being with the Beatles. And 2 years later, they're on the Ed Sullivan Show. I mean, you
Oh
talk
yes.
about a career. You talk about a career
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
of being in the right place at the
He
right
was
time.
exactly the right place at the right time. Also, he has great personality,
He did.
and was really very witty. I think he had his own game in certain respects, uh, and uh, and never did anything particularly outrageous. So he worked. He fit in.
He did, and in fact, he was basically the main character in their two movies. He was the prominent Beatle in those two movies,
Yeah.
and I would say that if you watch Hard Day's Night or Help, he was kind of like the one Beatle who was more like in the play, if in the script.
Sure.
But but I think he was what George Martin wanted, and that is just a capable drummer,
Yes.
and that's all he was. But anyway, happy number 86 to Ringo Starr, man. That's a great age.
It
I hope
sure
to get
is.
there
And
someday.
he's still playing.
He's still
He's still
playing, which
playing.
is remarkable. I think, in fact, I saw something that he's touring,
Yes.
and maybe he's going to sing "Yellow Submarine" one more time, Bill. That
Yeah.
was that was his song, "Yellow Submarine." We all live in a yellow submarine. Maybe he's going to sing that. Well, anyway, I wanted to get to another quick story before we get to a lot of serious stuff. There's a movie about George Washington going around. It's a movie about the young George Washington when he was a member of the British Army, I guess, or whatever, an officer. And people are coming out of the theater so excited. They're giving great reviews to the movie. And somebody wrote that Hollywood is finally listening to the audiences. They're making a movie about people like to read about or watch movies about their heroes,
That's
their
right.
patriotic figures. They don't want to hear that he had slaves. They want to hear that he was a great guy, which he was,
Yes,
a
he
very
was.
important person in history, which he was. Sure, he had slaves. Okay, we can mention that, but
We
that's
can
not his
mention
whole
that.
life.
Yes, but it's been mentioned so many times. He was not a perfect man. But in terms of the era in which he lived, he was a remarkable man. I
That's
mean,
right.
he was one of the true founders of the United States. In that whole group of founders, we talk about we talk about the founders of the country being people who sat in a big room and had debates and wrote a document called the Declaration of Independence. Well, he was in the field as well as
Right.
a combat soldier, and it I think it did a great deal for him in terms of his place in history. But when you learn more about Washington and his contributions to the founding of the country, you understand why 1776 is the year it was founded, not 1618. You know, what they tried to foist on us a few years ago. And of course, our first president, and he founded the office of the president, really, and
Right.
set a standard that exists to this day.
Right. And probably the biggest standard that he said was the idea of two terms, that, he served two terms and then he went away,
Yes.
which really was different at that time. We didn't have that was not the tradition back then. The tradition was you stick around until you die or
Hmm.
until they overthrow you. And he didn't. He gave up after two terms and said, "Okay, look, I've done my part. Now you guys take it from here." Look, that was pretty important. I would say pretty radical back then to
It
have
sure
that attitude.
was. It sure was.
And so, but anyway, we that all the reviews. I don't mean the professional reviews, but all the people reviews, people coming out and putting, posts on social media and so on. Just basic people, not famous people, who watched the movies say they loved it. And I thought it was interesting about Hollywood because they have a very successful movie about George Washington, and the other movie they made about Supergirl has completely flopped.
Mm,
They make this movie about this super feminist character who
yes.
is supposed to be a feminine version of, or feminist version of George Washington. And I read a review by Roger Ebert. I think it's Roger Ebert. Yeah,
Yes.
Roger Ebert. I read a review by him, and he said the movie went downhill after like the first dialogue
Mm,
because here is little Supergirl talking to, I don't know, her queen or whatever of the planet, and the Supergirl says, "Why is it that they call me Supergirl, but they call him Superman?" And it's like Roger Ebert said, "That's like feminism 101.
yes.
Drop it, please. We don't want to hear that." The movie apparently went downhill after that
Well, yes. Well,
because it's like,
that's a real 1960s
right,
style
yeah,
of feminist movie, and the 1960s were over a long time ago.
that's right. And, it's a different time. And yeah, more women are in positions of authority and all of that. But my gosh, I think I think women also want to see a realistic version of Supergirl or whatever her name was. And I think Wonder Woman did that a few years. I mean, Wonder Woman was that great TV show about that all powerful woman, but you
Yes.
know, she wasn't trying to be Superman. She was just trying to be a woman with talent, I guess, or whatever. But anyway, those two movies are going in opposite directions. George Washington doing very well, and Supergirl not doing well. And I think maybe Hollywood ought to get the message, Bill.
Well, they having been
Maybe.
out there and have worked in that industry, they get messages very slowly, and they and the message also comes to the the amazing thing about messages in Hollywood is they seem to come to people who already have their first Mercedes, and they want another one. But it takes time for Hollywood to get messages. It really is very isolated from the rest of the country. It took time after the Second World War for them to realize that the audience had changed and the audience was going to change. And also, there was this thing called television that they'd better
Mhm.
get hold of before it destroys them. It took time. Some people got the message, most people did not. And Hollywood, to a certain degree, the 1950s was the last great age of Hollywood movies, and that's a long time ago.
Right.
Because Frank Sinatra said that people do not come to the. He said something to this effect that people do not come to a movie theater to watch an accountant, you know,
Or to be lectured.
or to be lectured.
Yeah, lectured about, some signal virtue, as they like to call it. They just want to have a good time.
Yes, that's
That's all
right.
they want to do. But anyway, our famous history teacher, who always enjoys listening to us, just sent me a note saying that Hollywood has become too woke. I have a feeling that's correct, and
Yes,
they
that's
need they,
that.
they need to
There is.
de-woke, or
That's
otherwise
well.
movies
That's
like
exactly right. And what they need to do is to be taken out of the 1960s and put into the present. Hollywood has to catch up. It has to grow up.
right.
And the last great age of Hollywood was a long, long time ago. I don't know if they can ever get that feeling back, but I doubt it.
Well, I think the great movies for a while there, it seemed like every Saturday night, there was always a great movie you could go watch.
Yeah.
I remember at a time they had The Godfather, they had, Nicholas and Alexandria. I remember that movie that was very popular about the Russian czars. And then they had, of course, the the one about with Paul Newman and Robert Redford about
Yes.
which one I'm talking about. That was
Y-
super super popular.
yes.
And it just seemed like there was always a great movie around that you could go watch on a Saturday night. Now, to be honest with you, I don't have a clue. I'm going to go watch George Washington because I've seen all these great ratings. But, you know, I remember you used to look in the newspaper and see what was playing near you. Assuming you get a paper these days,
Right.
that, it just isn't the same.
No.
So,
What's fascinating is that in the early 1970s, there was a movie called That's Entertainment, which was
yes,
a nostalgic movie, a nostalgic movie about Hollywood's great age. That was the early 70s. And here it is many, many decades later. And they never got the message that the nostalgic movie was showing them how to make a movie that was actually entertaining to people. I mean,
right.
you could go and see That's Entertainment or That's Entertainment Part Two, and you saw the greatness of what Hollywood was brought back to life. The dancing, the skill, the personalities, and they never did. All the political people took over, and the people who went to Ivy League schools took over, and they never caught the magic.
No, they didn't, and now they're making movies people don't watch.
That's right.
which is, I guess, what happens when you don't listen to your customer. All right, well, let's get into some serious business, as they like to say, because the mayor of New York continues to be on the spotlight, let's say, including his wife, who apparently has been on the spotlight as well. But the mayor of New York delivered a July 4th speech that one has to wonder. I finally watched this thing because everybody was talking about it, and I said I have to listen to this. I have to watch it myself. Uh, and I'm not sure whether he was celebrating the Declaration of Independence of the United States or
He
some
was.
fictitious country that apparently he thinks he lives in. Because I actually was offended by that speech.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
How could you not be? He was telling us
Yeah,
all the terrible things about the United States,
right.
and instead of teaching us about what the Constitution was and is, and what it means, and why young people should read it, and why teachers should teach it, he basically attacked the country. And it was, I mean, he gave this weird speech from George Washington's personal desk, which he had turned around, and it was more why you shouldn't like your country than anything else. And that's not what Americans expect from a major executive. As far as his wife is concerned, she didn't even show up. She apparently is an absolutely hateful person, filled with bigotry and prejudice. And she went off to some Muslim retreat somewhere, and didn't even appear for the occasion. She is, I guess, theoretically the first lady of New York, but in reality, I think she's the first lady of ancient Moscow.
Right. Or some fictitious country that these
Yes,
people live in. Now, do you have any idea why the desk was turned around the wrong way? Do you have any? Because I heard that too. And I said,
yes.
was that just a mistake or was that just a message that he was sending?
I have no idea, but my theory might be that he didn't want to be seen at George Washington's desk as with and pretending to be George Washington. Maybe he felt
Oh,
that was too much or something, and they turned the desk around, and that is the desk upon which, in our history, many things were done. But it was as if it was somebody else's history. I mean, he mocked the country. He basically laughed at the country. What do we have? He said. Well, we have a country that is hating itself, a country that is disappointed in what they found, and here are the reasons why you should be disappointed with your country. And of course, it was deeply offensive, and his wife's behavior was very deeply offensive. I don't know if you can resign or be forced out of the office of First Lady of New York City. I, I mean, we know some of them, but I don't think there is any way to get her out.
no, I mean, officially, there's no impeachment proceedings in the city council, I guess, against the first lady. But she is a very pretty but obnoxious woman.
Yes,
I'll
that's
put it that
exactly
way.
right.
She's a
Exactly.
young, pretty, obnoxious woman who somehow doesn't like the country. And I don't get that. I mean, if you don't like the country, there's a airport there in New York. I think like a couple of
No,
airports.
several
And
airports.
yeah,
Yes,
and you can catch flights to whatever country you like.
that's right.
And
Especially
I'm
when you
sure,
have that kind of money.
right. So I don't know. I was so disappointed with that speech and continued to be disappointed with the way the Democrat Party keeps putting up with this garbage. It's almost like they're afraid of a primary, so they just keep saying, "We're not going to say anything. We're just hoping it goes away, Bill."
Well, that's pretty much what has happened here. I think that it may go away within the next few days, as the Senate prospect for Maine himself goes away, because I don't think he can sustain his campaign any longer, given what has
Right.
come out about him and the fact that he doesn't seem to understand how serious it is. And also, people are asking the question, in a state like Maine, which has, after all, whether you like her politics or not, a very respected United States senator, respected within the Senate, to try to replace her with a thug, basically, and a man who is of low character, who brings nothing to the game and nothing to the political party, was outrageous. And and the way they went about it is a new technique. Well, it isn't a new technique. It's an old technique that is beginning to work for them. Is they run in primaries. Now, I don't know how many people went to the primary in Maine that selected this guy, but primaries do not attract all that many voters. They
No.
often attract the people, the fanatics, and the people who want to control the inner workings of the party, but that's about it. And the idea that this man could have become a major national figure is chilling, absolutely
Right.
chilling.
No, you're right. And there's so many people were making excuses for him.
Oh yes,
That was another shocker. But I guess people are betting that, they have all these betting services now,
yes they do. They sure do. You
which is
can bet on
crazy.
almost anything.
Right? They bet on anything. Uh, I mean, they can even bet on what the weather is going to be like at 6 o'clock today.
Yes,
But
exactly.
it's amazing. But they're betting that he's gone soon. So we'll see if that turns out. But it's just crazy what's happening to the Democrat Party. We saw this July 4th. July 4th used to be a nice day, as I recall, a patriotic day. Everybody had
Yes,
everybody had their flag
and their
and
flower of the lapel.
yeah. And it seemed like, everybody at least was on the same page.
Well, yes,
On,
they were celebrating the July 4th, 1776, signing of the Declaration of Independence.
right. And it seemed like everybody was on the same page. Everybody was at least happy to be an American that day. You can always argue the next day about, partisan politics, but at least that day, everybody was happy. And now you've got all these people who are miserable. And I don't know what it is. Whether I don't know if they're just miserable to begin with, or they just hate Trump so much. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm kind of, I think there is, I'm beginning to think that Trump derangement syndrome is a real disease
Oh, it is.
because,
Yeah.
because I don't know how,
They hate
I don't know how to
they hate
explain it.
they hate him so much. And look, I don't mind them being opposed to him.
Sure.
He is, after all, a politician. But
Or
the
even
hate.
critical of what he does.
Yes, of course you can be critical,
Yeah.
the hatred has now overwhelmed everything. The sheer personal hatred, and I don't know if we can get out of this. He still has quite a bit of time to serve in his term as president, and they're going to go right back to trying to remove him right after the political season. And it's such a waste of time, and it's such a waste of American effort. And I think that even people, I mean, people who are fair-minded, will say, look, he has done a great deal. People often say, I don't like him personally, but I can't deny the fact that he has done some great things. And of course, if he succeeds in the Middle East, which is a great risk, if he succeeds, he will go down as a great president. And that's the thing I think that they fear the most, that that Trump can still survive this and be a notable figure in history.
Yeah. And I mean, you would think that everybody, whatever your political stripe is, would welcome the idea of a not nuclear Iran.
That's
You
right.
would think that everybody would welcome that, and because it benefits everybody, or certainly a Iran, financing terrorism. You would
Yes.
think that everybody would love that situation, but it just, I mean, I'm looking at it because I've never seen this before in the country. Now, some people will say that they hated Richard Nixon too, and they did. I mean, Richard Nixon was strongly disliked at one time. But again, I lived through the Nixon era, and I don't remember this level of hatred. Now, social media may have something to do with it.
Yes.
The fact that, everybody now has everybody can go on the internet and say whatever you want to say about anybody. and at least before you had to write a letter to the editor.
If you
I
could
mean,
write.
yeah, that's right. You write a letter to the editor, and you know, every once in a while they call you on the phone and they say, because that happened to me one time. I wrote a letter to the editor, and somebody from the editor's office called me back. I guess somebody named Susan, maybe one of the secretaries or something, called me back and said, "Mr. Cantor, we really appreciate your passion, and it's so nice that you read our newspaper. But you know, we've already published 2 of your letters in the last 6 months, and we do have a policy to, limit how many times we publish a letter from our same reader. But again, we love you. We're so happy that you pay the subscription, but we can only publish your." So, I mean, it did happen. That actually did happen to me, but I didn't take it personally. I just figured, well, okay, that's the rule,
Yes.
and I just figured, well, I'll hold on maybe a few months before I send them another submission.
Right, right. Well, it's the first I was actually one of those editors at the New
Oh,
York
okay,
Times who
yeah.
dealt with letters to the editor. And the first thing I was asked when I assumed the position was, "Have you ever written a letter to an editor?" And I said, I don't really remember." And he said, "That's the problem. Don't take them too seriously."
Well, yes. I mean, some of the letters to the editor were a bit hysterical. I
Yes,
will say that. I will say that. I always tried to keep mine, well, as serious as I could but I was partisan. I'll accept that. And they always, when they published my letter, they didn't edit anything. They just took it the way it was. But they just said, we
they
can
had a
only do a
policy.
couple of, yeah, we can only do a couple a year. We cannot publish your letter every week. We
Yes,
call that column. That's a columnist.
right, right.
Yeah, and we pay those people a lot of money to write columns.
Yes,
So your letter is
I assume,
you're
I think I think that your letters were probably more interesting than the columnist provided.
maybe this particular incident was with the Milwaukee Journal that I'm talking about when I lived in Wisconsin. And the Milwaukee Journal was a pretty serious, I mean, it was a pretty good paper.
A
Pretty
very
serious
serious
paper.
paper. Yes,
Yeah,
regarded as one of the more serious in the United States.
right. So they're the ones who send me the letter, or actually didn't send me the letter. They called me because when you submit these letters, you have to put your name and phone number and where you live. I mean,
Yes.
they don't publish that, of
No,
course,
they
but
check
they
it
want
out
to,
though.
yeah, they want to make sure you're a real person.
Yes.
And so,
There had been there was plenty of fakery in the letters to the
oh,
editor business. Companies would hire people to write a letter to the editor,
sure,
not on the behalf of the company, but on behalf of themselves, primarily to get companies points. A lot of things happen, but the great line of my own editor: "Don't take it that seriously," and
that's right.
and it's true.
That's right. You cannot take it that seriously, but the person who writes the letter takes it very seriously
Oh,
because I
very.
always
Oh,
took my
yes.
letters very seriously. Yeah, I thought I was contributing to democracy by
Yes.
by submitting a letter, which I felt I was. But anyway, I wish I had saved all those letters. Uh, I must have had maybe 5 or 6 published in the
Yes.
Milwaukee Journal. But maybe if I do a search, I can. I don't know. I don't know if they have those things in the internet. Maybe they do. But let me go to another topic, Bill. Here's we're getting to the end, and that's Iran. It looks like right now President Trump is giving negotiation as much time as possible. Uh, there will come a time when I think he will act if he has to. But I think he really wanted to bring the price of gas down, and he has done that. At least the price of the barrel of oil, the price of gasoline itself, like here it's around $3, 3.19, 3.05, 3.09, 2.99, depending on what station you go to. But it seems like that, as President Trump himself said, we'll win either way. If they sign, we'll win. If they don't sign, then I'll drop some bombs.
Yes, that's right.
My feeling is that that's what he's going to do eventually. but he's hoping to maybe get through the election, Bill.
Yes, yes. Well, he is hoping to get a negotiated settlement that will
Sure.
get him through the election and still be respectable. I don't know if that's possible. I think that the enemy sees himself very differently than we see him, and they think they're winning, and they intend to press it, and they intend to embarrass him by getting involved in these ceasefires that fall apart then, and they are amused when the Americans blame their own president for it, when in fact it was the uranium, the
The
Iranians
Iranians.
who were doing it for them to themselves, doing it and doing it from as part of a strategy, which is to embarrass the United States, to keep the United States on a string as long as possible, and wear out their ability to fight back. And I was hoping that Trump understood that strategy. It's the old Persian strategy. They are excellent negotiators, and one of the things they're excellent at is the use of time.
Hmm.
They are known for it, for their ability to use time to its greatest advantage. And there are people, serious people, who feel that Trump may have lost the advantage here by giving away too much time. Now he says,
Yeah.
well, if they don't make a deal in the next couple of weeks, we'll do this, this, and this. Well, if he actually does it, that would be terrific if he actually does it. But what usually happens is they get some kind of a ceasefire agreement, and he extends the
Right.
ceasefire, and he is playing right into the hands of a skilled set of negotiators who know how to use time as a weapon.
Well, he is doing that.
Yes,
I still feel confident that he's got the right people around him, especially Rubio, who understand the big picture here. And hopefully we can. I mean, I would rather see a negotiated deal than a military attack, because a military attack is going to be unbelievable if it does happen.
yes,
I think
yes.
we're going to be, there's going to be, I'm not saying we're going to turn, you know, the capital city. I can't remember the name right now. The capital is Tehran. I'm not
Tehran.
sure. Yeah, Tehran. I'm not sure we're going to turn Tehran into Nagasaki. It may actually be worse than that
Yes, yes, yeah.
because of the nature of these bombs.
It could be. It could
Yeah.
be. But what if we go back the 8 weeks that this war has lasted since the first night of the American and Israeli bombing raids, they have been able to expand this war and expand the thinking about this war to other things in the Middle East, and that is exactly what people were afraid of, that the Iranians would turn it into their war, and that's what they're telling their people, who probably maybe not believe it when they're hearing it from their own government, but it is a very different war than the one we expected after that first night of bombing.
Yes, I think you're right about that. Hopefully, it all comes out well, because I can't think of, I cannot think of an American who cares about his country who would like to see Iran go back to what they used to be. I mean, I
Right.
just cannot imagine how that benefits anybody of either party. I mean, I think the elimination of Iran is, or at least the elimination of Iran, nuclear Iran, or funding terrorism. I think that elimination is very necessary
Oh
for the
yes,
world. Yeah. So,
and
Bill,
that's.
one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, you go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you one quick parting question here. Is uh, the so-called national or socialist, Democrat socialists, whatever they call themselves, or Democrat socialist, I guess is what they call themselves. They just took out a congresswoman in Colorado
That's right.
who had been there 30 years. And there's talk now that they could take out a bunch more. Look at this fellow Goldman in New York City that they
That's
took
right.
out.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there saying, Britt Hume yesterday was saying that some of the Democrats they're taking out could actually be Democrats in competitive districts, where if you have the right Republican candidate, the Republicans may end up picking up that district just because
Mm,
these candidates are so radical.
mm.
I mean, I haven't seen all the numbers, but in theory, I can believe that.
Yes, these are the kind of people who win primaries,
Yes.
where you can get a vote at one voting place of 7 votes. I mean, the one thing the press has not told us is how many people actually voted in these primaries. It's a very small number, and they have made a very big deal out of it, which I think is what the left wingers in the party wanted. But it's the old story: be careful what you wish for. You might
Right.
get it.
That's right. Well, these people are very organized. They're very focused. And if the Democrats pick up the House, I would hate to be Jeffries because
Oh, they'd stop all over him.
yes,
They
and
would join.
then
They would join they would join the Republicans for a while just to stomp him.
right. And I would think that, I hope it doesn't happen, but if they do take over the House, and right now it's 50-50 from what I'm looking at. If they do take over the House, that might be the best gift that they could give Donald Trump, because if they're crazy now, imagine when they're actually running the House.
Yes. Well, I think you have a very, very good point. Could be giving a gift to Donald Trump, and we would hope that that gift would be well used by Donald Trump to smash them in the election. The great fear we have is that one of them could actually win the office, and that
Right.
is frightening. Just a frightening prospect of a United
Well,
States senator who is actually anti-American.
right. Well, one bit of good news here, Bill, to close. There's one representative who's not coming back, and that's our favorite from Texas, Al Green,
Oh, how
who
great.
yeah, he lost in the primary.
Yes.
He was actually brought down by one of these Democrat socialists. So he won't be there in Trump's State of the Union in 2027 to put on his little show. So he's not there. So that much, Bill, I'm sorry, but you're going to be denied watching Al Green do his show. So I'm sure you'll be disappointed.
I will be
And
in grief. In grief.
another lady that won't be there is Jasmine Crockett. She also has been squeezed out of her district by the redistricting. And then, of course, she lost the Senate seat. And now she puts out a statement, which I thought was incredible. She doesn't go to the Democrat convention. And now she puts out a statement saying the Democrats are spending too much time doing stuff for white people. They need to do more for black people.
Isn't that incredible?
Yes. And I'm sitting there saying, well, Jasmine, how do you think you win elections?
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's going to be a problem for Tallarico. That much we know.
Oh, yes.
But at least, Bill, you're not going to have Al Green and Jasmine Crockett in the upcoming Congress. And I hope that makes you happy.
Well, it makes me somewhat happy. I then have to always wonder who's next on this crowd of lovelies.
Well, I'll tell you who's next, but it won't be this time.
No.
It won't be this year, but it's coming later, and that's Chuck Schumer.
Oh, yeah.
He is. I think they're going to go after him full blast. And, Bill O'Reilly was saying, I guess Bill O'Reilly knows Chuck Schumer fairly well there from New York City. And he was saying that Chuck is probably going to resign, or not resign, but retire rather than lose the primary. Yeah, which makes sense to me. Well, Bill, as always, thank you for your time. It's always great to be with you, and it's always a lot of fun to be with you. And I look forward to next week. And I don't know, maybe there'll be another happy birthday next week to celebrate, or maybe the mayor's wife, the first lady of New York, will give a speech next week.
I look forward to it. I'm sure it will be almost hilarious.
That's right. Well, she is. She's
yes,
as I say, a very pretty woman, but a little strange, to say the least. Her politics. Thank you for your time, Bill. It's always great to have you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, as always. Thank you very much. Our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Virgin Agenda. I always enjoy chatting with him. Once a week, we call it the Week in Review, and just having a good time and laughing a little bit, but also taking a look at our politics. And again, happy number 86 to Ringo Starr. Ringo of the Beatles is 86 today, if you can believe that. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later.